Thank you, Michael, for this opportunity to reflect on the life and work of Dr. Graeme MacQueen. And while I should state up front that I cannot claim a close personal friendship with Dr. MacQueen, I, at the very least, did, unlike many of the people that I've had the chance to interview over the 16 years that I've been doing the Corbett Report, I did have the chance to meet Dr. Graeme MacQueen in person in Kuala Lumpur in 2012 at the 9/11 Revisited conference. And in our conversations, both on and off camera, we spent a lot of time in conversation over those few days. And I did get to at least sense who Dr. MacQueen was and what he was motivated by. And although there is no doubt that he was a genuinely thoughtful, deep thinker and a scholar through and through, that certainly was an aspect of his character. I think I could also sense that underneath the very stoic exterior, there was a burning passion in Dr. MacQueen for truth, for justice, and for peace. And that should be evident from his biography. Co-founder of the Center for Peace Studies at McMaster University, someone who was an award-winning teacher teaching undergraduates studies on peace studies, someone who wrote about the subject at length in various scholarly articles, who was an editor on the board of Peace Magazine, who had traveled to Afghanistan and other places to discuss peace and to advocate for peace. An incredibly interesting man who had a very, very interesting career, but I think that career speaks to that passion that underlay the work that he did, the incredibly important work that I'm sure people in the alternative media space will know that he did on the subjects of 9/11 Truth and the anthrax attacks of 2001. And of course, I had the chance to interview Dr. MacQueen on those subjects specifically several times over the years. But I wanted to share a personal remembrance from my final interview with Dr. MacQueen, which took place in 2019. And at that time, I was working on the 9/11 Whistleblowers series, where I was examining various firsthand accounts of people who had direct experience or knowledge of the events surrounding 9/11, who were pointing out the anomalies. And I was working on the piece on William Rodriguez, who was one of the janitors in the Twin Towers, who reported about the explosions that took place before the plane actually hit. And in that regard, I contacted Dr. MacQueen because I knew he had written one of the premier scholarly articles on the subject of first responder eyewitness testimony. In fact, he poured through the hundreds of hours of transcripts of various interviews that were done with firefighters and first responders in the immediate wake of 9/11 and wrote a very important scholarly article on the subject and what we could learn about the eyewitness accounts of explosions in the buildings from that testimony. So I contacted Dr. MacQueen. What I did not know at that time was that he was suffering. He was already in his struggle against cancer, and he was going through a great degree of medical discomfort at the time. But he still agreed to do the interview because he recognized the importance of that information and was truly passionate about getting that information out to others. And I think it is audibly and visibly so that in that interview, you can tell that he was certainly not 100% in terms of his physical condition, but he was still very much motivated by a passion for getting that information out to others. And I think, although obviously the loss of a scholar of the abilities, the talents and abilities and communicative ability of someone like Dr. MacQueen is a huge loss for 9/11 Truth and for peace and justice generally, I think we should still take away the inspiring message of Dr. MacQueen and the work that he provided under sometimes adverse events and adverse circumstances. His struggle to continue to press on the nerves of power to try to achieve justice and peace is truly an inspiring message, and one that we can all take to heart as we continue to pass that information forward. And I have no doubt that as long as people are still interested in these subjects and are still trying to pass on this information about truth, about justice, about peace, I have no doubt that Dr. McQueen's life, work, and inspiration will be a part of that, informing it.